Okay, we're going to go over the IGI524 OpenIDConnect provider configuration that's defaulted to IGI when you install for the first time. So on here, we'll go over to the default URL for the first time login for IGI, where admin and the password that you established when you installed IGI and reset the password will be presented to you, and you will supply that. When you go to the configuration, this is the default LMI view that you'll have. When you click the quick link to go to the actual console for the administrative console of IGI, you'll end up with either a few options depending on what your browser is, but basically you're going to get an error telling you that the OpenID Connect client returned a status where 401, so not found. And the reason for this is inside of IGI, by default, the OpenIDConnect provider configuration is enabled on all installations. So you'll see that it's using its internal registry with the scope is set to OpenID, and it gives you your OpenID configuration details. So you must disable this by selecting disable in this configuration. You'll select yes, and at this point the OpenIDConnect authentication will be set to disabled in your appliance, and once a restart happens you'll be able to log back in again, and then you'll be able to see your default IGI admin provider not using the OpenIDConnect configuration. So at this point you go back to manage settings, restart or shut down. You come to here and you're going to restart the entire appliance. It'll give you a prompt and you'll get a logged out screen by default, and then you'll wait a few minutes for the appliance to restart and you'll be able to log in again. Okay, once the appliance restarts, go ahead and hit your link again to go to the SSL port on the appliance server, and you'll be prompted again with the interface, admin and your password. Once you log in here, we go back and look at the configuration again, and you'll see here that your OpenIDConnect configuration is disabled for the provider detail, and it's set to false and stopped. This is what you want to default back to your home view. So we'll click back over here on the home, we'll hit the link, and now you're presented with what you would expect not using the OpenIDConnect provider. User ID and password, and this was cached in my session, I believe. And then you're back to the default IGI screen for your user ID and password. The default user ID and password again logs you in.